And you, Kilio, dowered with flower-like beauty, you women with naked bodies, who sometime flit o'er the reef plates, now squat over Hala Aniani, you shameless, you naked ones. The magic of these words worked their death purpose. The way to the sepulchral cave was now unobstructed. As they came, however, to the base of the cliff, they found that the ladder had been removed, the mischievous work of the witches. Ahain Oma'o was aghast. "There is no ladder for us to climb up by," said the woman. "Turn your face to the cliff," was Hiiaka's answer. The girl did so and used her best efforts to climb the mountain wall. The day was far spent and darkness would soon come on. Thereupon Hiiaka invoked the sun, bidding it stand still at the mouth of the river Hia. "E kini, e hiki I kauai I ko aina. Okoa makaiwa o halawa. Paya kona I o kino. Akoa nui o Hiiaka la. Hiki e pie I ho e kaui ka muli o he trede ka mali o e kala." Translation: Come to your land to Kauai, ye hosts, ye warrior gods, keen eyes of pearl. Put forth your strength, O Kona, the mighty goddess Hiiaka. I bid you rise, climb, and descend. Now, stay your flight, O day. Stand still, O sun, or hair's water. One these Honopu women, 2 in number, were Mo'o, witches related to Kilio, a famous witch Mo'o of Hawaii, and their names were Kilioe Kapua and Kalanamainu. Hiiaka utters many prayers to restore Lohai to life. Before proceeding to her task, Hiiaka instructed Maihakoa to call in the guards stationed at Lohai's sepulchre and to keep the hula going for the next 10 days as an attraction to draw off the people from playing the spy on her performances. Hiiaka and her companion conquered the impossible and scaled the mountain wall as if their feet had the clinging property of the fly. Lohaiau's ghost would have escaped, but with bird-like quickness, she caught it. At her command, Wahine Oma'o gathered certain aromatic and fragrant herbs of the wilderness, and having made a fire, they bruised and warmed the samples and spread them upon a sheet of leaves. While Wahine Oma'o kept fast hold of the feet, Hiiaka forced the soul particle to pass in through one of the eye sockets. It went as far as the cavity of the chest, then turned back and strove to escape. Hiiaka guarded the ways of exit and with skillful manipulations compelled it to go on. Reaching the loins, it balked again, but Hiiaka's art conquered its resistance and the human particle extended its journey to the feet. There was a twitching of these parts, the hands began to move, the eyelids to quiver, breath once more entered the body. They lifted and laid it on the blanket of aromatics and restoratives, swathing it from head to foot. Hiiaka set a calabash of water before her, and addressing Wahine Oma'o said, "Listen to my prayer. If it is correct and faultless, our man will live. But if it is wrong or imperfect, he will die." "He will not survive," replied Wahine Oma'o gloomily. "Stand to the fore, O priest, shrink not. Though thunders growl and lightnings flash, fill heaven's vault above, below. Come, mistress of Tabos, come ye who string lays, and the goddess who mixes the dyes. Kanaloa, alert, soars aloft with hairy Ku, the offspring of Cain, and the women who cheer with a touch on the back, the chest, or knock at the door. Lest the charm depart, the prayer go wrong, with damage to me and damage to you, a pain in the head, a drooling nose, a shedding of tears, of love and regret. Now let the prayer speed on its way." "How was my prayer?" asked Hiiaka, turning to Wahine Oma'o. "It was a good prayer," she replied. "Its only fault was that it sped on too quickly and came to an end too soon." "In its haste to obtain recovery, no doubt," said Hiiaka. "Perhaps so," the woman replied. "Listen now to this prayer," Hiiaka said. "If it is a good prayer, our man will recover. Ho, comrades from the sacred plateau. Ho, comrades from the burning gulf. Hither fly with art and cunning, Ku, who fells and guides the warboat. Ku, who pilots us through dreamland. All ye gods of broad Hawaii, Kanaloa, guard well your tabas, candle maker, candle snuffer, goddess too of passion's visions, lightning red, all heaven filling, pitchy darkness turned to brightness. Lono, come, thou god of all fire, come too, thou piercing eye of rain. Speed, speed my prayer upon its quest. How is my prayer? Said Hiiaka, turning to her companion. The answer was the same as before. Hiiaka devotes herself to gentle ministrations of healing, but without intermitting the chanting of prayer songs, the burden of whose petition is that the spirit of health shall prevail in Lohiau and restore him completely. After again sprinkling the body with water from the calabash, she breaks forth, Ia hululu ia mai au, e kanekapolei moai, ia ulu kini o ke akuala. Ulo mai o kene o kanaloa. O Hiiaka kaula mana ia e, nana I holulu ina mai, a ai aulu anoho I kokwahu. Ea kawaila hiwai ola I. Eola hoi I. Translation, come, enter, possess, and inspire me. Thou first, God of the flowery wild, ye roving sprites of the wildwood, and master gods, Cain and Loa. Hiiaka, who calls you, lacks not, in power to heal and inspire. Pray enter and heal and abide. In this one, your patron and guard, here is water, the water of life. Give us this life. As in archery, the character of the arrow, the skill of the archer, and the caprice of the air currents that blow athwart the course of the arrow's flight may severally or collectively make or mar success. So likewise with the kahuna and his praying, success or failure was spelled by the quality of his prayer shaft, by the manner of his utterance of it, and lastly, by the physical and moral state of the atmosphere as to the existence or absence of noise and disturbance. It was not then through a mere silly curiosity or pride of utterance that Hiiaka appealed to her attendant to learn what she thought of her prayer, nor was it a vain and meaningless compliment when the latter declared the prayer to be good, the conditions favorable. At the same time, she could not repress the criticism that from her emotional standpoint of view, the prayer seemed short. Again, Hiiaka sprinkled the body with water from the calabash while she uttered this prayer song. Ianao, ilaka, kenya haiwahine, haipua kanailele, haki hana maileo kawao, holule, hoyolaka, o Hiiaka, kaula mana ia, ii, tanai holulu na mai, ai, aulu, anoho I kokahu. Eia kawaila he wai ola e iola hoi e. Translation. Here stand I in stress, Laka, thou husband of Haina Kolo. What flowers have I plucked in the wild? What mele stripped in the forest? To twine into wreaths for Laka. Thus toiled the seer Hiiaka, and hers was the magic of cure. But come thou, mount, enter, possess, give life to thy servant and priest. Here's water, the water of life. Grant life, the work of completely restoring Lohiau by the necromancies of the kahuna, like a process of nature, required the ripening hand of time. The utterance of prayer must be unremitting. Hiiaka continues her prayers. While Hiiaka in her ministrations did not omit anything that might aid and expedite Lohiau's physical recovery, her chief reliance was in the spiritual aid of the gods, for which purpose prayer followed prayer like the pictures in a moving show. Hemele kuni kuni no Lohiau, kulia e uli, kapule kanana ola imua o ke kahuna, kaulia ike alohilani, kulia ikupukupu orunane, o wai kupukupute, o ilio uli o ilio mea. Se ise, o kuke aloa seta, o kuke au poko, o ke o apiha a kalani, o ke kanaka o ka mauna, o na hoa o ka ululau, e kuai e hina kaumaka e pule. Wa kana taro de ka he kawai, e ka huali sistet, mokui ka piko e, o imi o nalo wale, I loa e loa kauhala ukuika oivi no ke aloha ikono haiemawa. A aku au ika uve ana iho e eli kapu eli noa. Uano a. The cliffs of Kalalau. Translation. Attend, O Uli, a prayer this for life, poured forth in the house of the priest. Let it touch the hearts of the shining band, the princes who rule in the heavenly courts. Who is this healer named Kupu Kupu? His are the soot black swine, the yellow dog, the tiny cloud bud and the cloud full blown, the cloud quick with rain and the sky that is mottled and checkered with clouds, the tall man, the lord of the mountain. His fellows who rest in the tree shade, bent-kneed, they pray in their forest temple. Suffice it, here's flowing bowl, Hualia. Seek the God, stay not till you find him. If at fault, in offering this for your flesh, the twain of us came at the call of love, that my tears might pour with the others. Profound the taboo, profound be the peace. It is peace. Prayer followed on the heels of prayer. Kulia, e uli, kapule, kanene, ola. Kulia, ike alohilani. Uya kupuao lunane. Oai kupuao lunane. Ilio kalani, o ilio mea, o ilio ehu entiuna. O kukeao ikido, o kukeao pes, o keao pokotea, o kukeao awihi wihula kalani, o kanaka o kamauna. Na hoa hele o ka ololau, na keolani ikuai, ilaka, o maka apule. Kahe ka wai o na hoali, nei wale ka pili moku. Wawa kupinai kuawa kuhaili mo 30. O hai loa ha 31. O na wahine kapaku I kapa ele. Na ke aloha I konoi hele maila au o hiaka. Ai ke aloha a ka hanao. Hanao ke ola. A ola e. Translation. Speed, O Uli, this prayer for health, give it wings to the heavenly courts. The question is asked the shining band, who are the spirits of power up here? The azure cloud god that floats on high. God Ku of the cumulus cloud bank, Ku of the mackerel patch sky, Ku the cloud that roofs the horizon, Ku the cloud god sailing apart, and Ku the cloud god ruddy and ragged. The heroes too, who dwell in the mountains. Our comrades they who range the forest. Women gods of the ether who heal. Powers that hold with the god Laka. He gives men the rich ripe mountain apple. The gods pour out their healing water. The bunchy thatched grass waves in awe. God Echo, whose voices rumble afar. And the landscape is Ku and the princess who plucked and ate the fateful ule. The women who sit in the outskirts, all clad in robes of funeral black. Great love has prompted their coming. Hiiaka, the shadow, have come. From love to my birthmate, my sister. Be this then the birthplace of life. Oh, for life, for life. Give us life. How is it with you, O Lohiao? Inquired Hiiaka. Continue to kneel at the shrine. Prostrate yourself at the lake of our mistress, answered Lohiao. Thereupon Hiiaka, greatly encouraged, resumed her praying and chanted in a clear tone. Akaluna ikilawea, awahine kapu ikaloa, kapu na papa elima kaloa, kapu kilawe ke ahiaka wahine, kapu ia kamuhali, hiali hano kapu. E hoi au e kemeku haku, ke haku ikui mai nei kalani, o wawa ka honua. Ua moe kana kakai o ka honua. Ua ala kukui a kain, kanepo huulu mai, hihia moe kapu kuhoala ana. Ua ala ka uka, ua ala ke kai. A kahila o ke aloha I hiki mai ai, ke honau nei naua ku hopo. I ka hopo ka lele he wā kene, I laila ke kie hoi hoi aina. Ala moe ke kai o ko haku, ala mai no e a ao Hiiaka. On the heights about Kilauea, with the sacred dame in the pit. 5. Tabu Strata has Kilauea. Tabu's the pit through the goddess's fire. Tabu hedges round Moho Ali. A Tabu god was he from his birth. To these will I go with my Lord. The heavens above are in turmoil. The earth beneath is riven. The sea powers of earth are sleeping. The torch of Cain has risen. O God of the night, inspire me. Thy sleep needs a sacred waking. Awake, O Kahiki Ku. Awake, O Kahiki Mo. I too will awake at thy coming. The heavens are awake, and the earth is astir from mountain to sea. Today comes the first pang of love. My heart, how wildly it moves. My breast is torn by God Cain. In the breast lurks the mischief of Cain. The heart is the fortress of honor's guard. Awake, repose in thy sovereign's care. I pray thee awake, hear my Hiiaka. Awake, I beg and entreat thee. Let my prayer speed its way. To the grist of prayers which Hiiaka, with chanting tone, had already brought to the prayer mill of the gods, she now added, or, following the figure employed by the Hawaiian narrator, laid on the altar of the gods Uhau the following, her mental attitude being that of one who was angling, again to borrow the Hawaiian figure, literally fishing pea for a favor, a benefit. Ke holu au e kane kapole I mua. I ulu kinio ke akua. Ulumayo ke ne o kanaloa. O hiiaka aula o ke kaula a ke kahuna. Nana I hana, nana I hulu. A hulu au I ke ola, a he ola no. He ola hoi ko e lohia wipo I haena. A ola hoi, he ola nui, he ola iki. He ola akulia ikanu a ola oi e lohiau ipo. I.e. holo e translation. To the temple, its healing rite, I summon you, Cain Kapole, pray gather, ye wilderness host. Come Cain and come Kanaloa. Hiiaka, prophet and priest am I. It is mine to inspire, to perform. I have striven for life and life came. Your life, Lohaiao of Haina. I, life indeed, life in its fullness, life in detail, life to stand at the temple shrine. Such life be yours, beloved Lohaiao. Urge on, let the cure work. Hiiaka chanted also another prayer. Elono, Elono, Elono kulani. Ilono no hoi kawai. O holu oe, o inana oe. Hoi nana ike ola. Hopuepue anawe I kawai ola a Cain. Kawai ola a Kanaloa. I kahikina, ike komohana. Awahua awalani, I.e. holo e. Translation. O Lono, God Lono, on high. Lono, whose realm is the watery vast. Inspirer, promoter art thou. Give aid to this work of perfect cure. Thou givest life's magic to water. The living water, water of Cain, the living water of Kanaloa, which flows in the east, flows in the west, in the bubbling fount in heaven's rain. Speed now, urge on the cure. Prayer quickly followed prayer, like the moving pictures in a shifting scene. Eya nao elaka. Kane hai wahine. Hai puao kana hele hele. Hai hanamaile o kawao. Holulu lei hoyo laka. O Hiiaka kaola mana ia. E nanai holulu na mai. E a ulu a nohoi kukahu. E a kawai la hiwai ola I. E ola hoi I. Translation. Here stand I in stress laka, thou husband of Haina Kolo. What flowers have I plucked in the wild? What maples stripped in the forest? To twine into wreaths for laka. Thus toiled the seer Hiiaka, for hers was the magic of cure. But come thou, Mount Enter, possess, give life to thy servant and priest. Here's water, the water of life. Grant life in abundance, life. The conclusion of this prayer saw Lohau quite restored to consciousness, but in a state of utter bewilderment as to his surroundings. He found himself most unaccountably in a small rocky chamber with two women who were utter strangers in attendance on him. Before him, as he looked out, hung the apron of a mountain precipice, while in the distance and far below tossed the ocean, a familiar sight that called him back to earth at once. stirring pleasant fancies in his mind and waking in him a yearning for the sea. One Uli, the chief Aumakua of sorcery, but at the same time having power as a healer if she would but exercise it. They descend from the cliff by rainbow bridges. Lohiau, restored, goes a-surfing. Hiiaka's work of healing was now accomplished. She had seen the cold and withered form gain fullness, warmth, and color, been cheered by the uamoa, the crowing sigh that came with the inrush of air to the lungs, and now he stood before her in physical perfection. The question asked by Wahine Oma'o, how they were to climb down from their inaccessible position, was answered by the sudden appearance of 3 rainbows that arched themselves conveniently at their feet, and on these, as on ladders, they climbed from the dizzy height to the sleeping village below. Under the priestly guidance of Hiiaka, they all now resorted to the ocean, and with the aid of its waters performed the rite of cleansing from the ceremonial defilement that came from the touch of a corpse. With this cleansing, each one of them seemed to have a new birth of physical perfection. As they came up out of the water, their bodies seemed actually to glow with a fresh and radiant beauty. The touch of salt water woke in Lohiau a longing he could not resist. He took his surfboard and, with face to the incoming rollers, made for the open sea. The place was one where he had often sported before, prescriptive custom having in fact set it apart for the exclusive use of the chiefs. The fish, as the Hawaiians called the Milky Way, was already declining in the west and beginning to pale at the approach of a new day, and Lohiau still rode the waves. That same night, Kawanui, Lohiau's sister, woke from her sleep with a start. She went out of doors and, lifting her eyes to the mountain wall, saw a light gleaming in the cave where lay her brother's body. She rubbed her eyes to remove the cobwebs of sleep. Yes, there it was, a quivering light, set like an eye in the socket of the mountain wall, and figures moving about. She rushed back into the house where slept her husband and stirred him with her foot. "What are you about?" demanded the man. "Do you want to kill me?" "Get up. There's a fire burning in the cave up the mountain. Come." "What crazy fit possesses you?" muttered the man as he went out. "To knock my wind out with such a kick. And there's no fire up there, merely a star sinking in the west. That's all there was to it. Go to bed." The woman was silenced but not convinced. Her sleep continued to be broken. She fancied that she heard a human voice calling to her, yet on listening she could distinguish only the moaning of the surf. In her restlessness she wandered forth again and stood in the cool vault of night. The endless monotone of the ocean filled her ears, but it told her nothing new. She sought her bed again and turned her face to the mat in a resolute effort to sleep. She dozed, but the subtle goddess evaded her. Thoughts of her brother floated through her mind, and the booming of the surf now seemed to assume a more intimate tone, and by some witchery of the imagination led her out under the winking stars, closer to old ocean's moan, and made her think how Lohiau did delight in the surf, what pleasure he took in riding the billows. Thus she murmured to herself. At that moment her straining vision detected an object moving with the waves. Some man surfing in our taboo waters. Yet how can that be? Have not all the men of the village gone over to Niihau? Power urged them to go. She moved along the beach. By this time it was dawn. "There comes a woman," said Wahine Oma'o. "His sister Kahuanui," Hiiaka remarked quietly. Wahine Oma'o called to her by name and went forward to meet her. "Ah, it is you 2 women," Kahuanui exclaimed. "Where's your husband?" Wahine Oma'o asked. "Asleep in the house. Go and call him. Tell him to take his canoe and go over to Niihau and bring power," said Wahine Oma'o. "Lohiau is alive and well. Look, there he comes on the surfboard." In a tumult of joy, the woman ran to the house and shouted the tidings to her husband. Nakoa Ola, girding his malo about him as he came out of the door, made all speed for the halau, shoved the canoe down the slope of the beach, looked to the lashings of the outrigger, saw that the paddles, bail and whatnot were in place, stepped the mast, arranged the sail in the sheet, then with a final push, he leaped in astern and set his course for Niihau. The story of Lohiau's miraculous return to life spread like wildfire until the whole population of the little island of Niihau was buzzing with the wonder. Paua, in his haste and excitement, neglected the ordinary civilities and failed to invite his visitor to come in and eat. They took canoe on the instant and were the first to arrive at Hana. At sight of Lohiau, whom they found quiet and thoughtful, surrounded by a house full of people, in conversation with his sister and two women who were strangers, they set up a wailing cry of joy that was chorused by the whole company. The great raft of attendants, men and women, round-eyed with wonder, reached Hana in successive arrivals later in the day. First came those who eagerly credited the report of Lohiau's resurrection, scattering along after them strangers and those who were in any degree skeptical of this great mystery. Each hour saw a bunch of new arrivals, not from Niihau alone, but from all parts of Kauai. When Kahawanui and her husband had first wept over Lohiau, embracing and kissing him, uttering their welcome in joyous cries of wailing, they turned to the two women, the strangers, for Lohiau bade them extend their welcome to these two women who have brought me to life again. Where are they from? Kahawanui asked. I know not. I only know they have given me life. It was worthwhile for my brother to have died to secure two such beautiful women as you, said Kahawanui as she faced Hiiaka. The other one is more beautiful than we are, Hiiaka answered. Where is she? Toward the sunrise, Hiiaka answered. What is the name of the country? Queried Kahawanui. Hawaii. Who is the woman? Persisted Kahawanui. Her name is Pele. I know her, Kahawanui spoke with lower tone. She it was who sent us to fetch Lohiau. We found him dead. I worked according to my ability, you see. Our man is alive again. The gods come to Lohiau's feast. Under the direction of Kahawanui, the woman to whom belonged the executive mind, proclamation was made throughout the land in the name of Lohiau, commanding all the people to collect the necessary food and material in preparation for a great feast, that they might celebrate properly Lohiau's return to life. It was to be an occasion of unparalleled interest and importance. A chief, famed for his manly beauty and popular talents, rescued from the grave the magician who had accomplished this marvel, a woman of surpassing beauty, an old-time feast with its lavish profusion, the hula with its lyric and epic thrills. A combination of attractions that appealed to every taste, whether of sage, epicure, frivolous dilettante, or dull-witted peasant. It was sure to be the event of a lifetime. All were invited and all came. The halau in which the people assembled was a temple of Flora, or rather of her Polynesian sister Laka. At the request of Hiiaka, whose every wish was law, one half of the hall was screened off by a rustic partition as a special feasting hall for the gods. My relatives, said Hiiaka, are numerous. In this part of the halau were laid the sacrificial viands for the supply of an immense host. Having commanded silence, Hiiaka, after the manner of prayer, invited the attendance of the gods. A hush fell upon the assembly. The air was stirred by the fanning of many wings. No speech, no human voice, only the gentle clash of wooden dishes, the rustle of leaves, the gurgle of deep potations, and the subdued sounds of gustation came from the place into which no human foot or eye dared intrude. At the conclusion of the affair, when Hiiaka, in priestly fashion, had pronounced the absolving word Noah, and the stewards were again at liberty to enter the precinct where the immortals had just now celebrated their symposium, it seemed at first glance as if nothing had been touched. The leafy bundles of fish and fowl and meat remained unopened, but they proved to be empty. The coconuts, unbroken, were yet devoid of meat. The bananas were found to be but hollow skins. The substance, the essence, had been filched away by some inscrutable power. This was the ai inoino, consumption to the last morsel, practiced by the gods. It was a solemn affair after all, this parting feast at which, in spite of the babble of voices, weighty affairs had to be settled. Maleha Koa published the fact that the beautiful woman who sat in their midst was Hiiaka, the sister of Pele, that her art had captured the unhappy, flitting ghost of Lohiau, restored it to its renovated and matchless form, and that, in fulfillment of her errand, she was about to lead him away with her to be the bedmate of the goddess who ruled the volcano. Power, he whose tempestuous nature had not long ago sworn vengeance against the author of Lohiau's taking off, now spoke up and declared his purpose to go with his master on this his new and strange adventure. Lohiau restrained him. I go with these two women. If I die, so be it, 'twere a glorious end, with these two who rescued me from the grave and brought me back to the delights of your society. If I live and make my abode on Hawaii, it will be for you to come and share the blessings of my new home. Then, addressing himself specially to Power, you will remain here as my deputy ruling over the land. If my adventure fares well, I will come and fetch you. If, your coming would not advantage, you shall stay here. The mountains were still in shadow, but the star of morning was on high and rosy fingers in the east, heralded the approach of day, taming the flare of the torches and making them almost as superfluity as the canoe, with Hiiaka occupying the pola, Lohiau in the stern holding the steersman's paddle, and Wahine Mao, ensconced in the bow, curvetted to the waves and shot out into the blue sea. One paddle stroke and the craft had cleared the land, another, and it had traversed the heaving channel of Iiwaina, another, and it was beached on the sands of Mokolea. At this point, Hiiaka parted from her two companions, directing them to call for her with the canoe at a designated place. Hiiaka's first care was to pay her respects to the aged one, her ancestor, Pohaku Okawa'a, after that to her ancestral divinity Kaina, a name in modern times bestowed on the western cape of Oahu. She turned this point and passed into the sweltering Lea, where the sun poured its merciless heat, and as she climbed the slope of the Waianae mountain, looking back on the route just accomplished according to her custom, she uttered her comments in song. Kunihikai na holo I kamalia, welai kala ke alo kapali, awa momai kala okilawea, ikiki kala na ke awaola. Ola ika makani ka yaulu ko hola lele. He makani ia no lalo, haia kalai na makua. Lili kalai ohi kilolo, hahula lea ke lai ke kula. Kaha a o kala I makaha, oi ka niho o kala I kumano mano. O la kamaile kahuna na niho, mo wela ke kula o valio. O la kuai wa I ka malamapo. O la wayanai I ka makani kayaulu. Ke hoa aku la I ka la o ka niu. Ue o kanepu niu I ka wela o ka la. A laila ku kaluhi ka maloe loe. Aua ku I ka wai lua lua lei. A hahe kona, a hahe ku lao wahin. A he no I ka lao ka ilima. Wela I ka la ka pili ka umauma. Ai puuli li I ka lawalawa a pahelona. A ka pi na I wai ko nenene. Humaha aku I ka moaula. A ka luna I pohakea. Ku au nanai kai ohilo. Ke homo ai lai ke hao. O au hale lehua I kai opuna. Au hale lehua I kai okoki. Translation. Kaina's profile fleets through the calm, with flanks ablaze in the sunlight, a furnace heat like Kilauea. Ke Awaula swelters in heat. Koholalele revives in the breeze, that breath from the sea, Ka Aulu. Fierce glows the sun of Makua, how it quivers at Ohikilele. 'Tis the sun god's dance o'er the plain, a riot of dance at Makaha. The sun tooth is sharp at Kumano. Life comes again to Maui Ridge, when the sun god unsheaths his fang. The plain Walio is sunburned and scorched. Kwa Iwa revives with the nightfall. Waianae is consoled by the breeze. Kai Aulu and waves its cocoa fronds. Came Puniu's fearful of sunstroke. 5. A truce now to toil and fatigue. We plunge in the Lualei water and feel the kind breeze of Kona, the cooling breath of the goddess as it stirs the leaves of Ilima, The radiant heat scorches the breast while I sidle and slip and climb. Up one steep hill, then another, thus gain I at last Moa'ula, the summit of Pohakea. There stand I and gaze over sea, to Hilo, where lie my dewy cool forest preserves of Lehua, that reach to the sea in Puna, my lewas that in roof Kuki'i. According to another account, less mythical, Hiiaka, on her departure from Hana, packed off Wahine Oma'o and Lohiau in the canoe, while she herself started on afoot. Before proceeding on her way, she turned herself about and, as was her wont, made a farewell address to the precipitous cliffs of Kalalau and to the deity therein enshrined. Kalalau pali'ala hoi e ke ako ya'aela ikawahine alakapali kalawa e ihonopuwa yaloha. Aloha oela ii translation. Your verdant mountain walls, Lalau, where the nymphs pluck harvest of wreaths, fragrant with breath of Lauai, fed by love's waters at Honopu, my farewell love goes forth to you. Hiiaka now left behind her the wild and precipitous region of Kalalau and passing through Maloli came into Mana, a region famous for its heat, its sandhills, and its tantalizing mirage. Mana was also the haunt of a swarm of little beings, elves, brownies, and whatnot, to whom Hiiaka courteously offered her salutations. O mana, aina ke akua e. Aina ke akua e kaliu. O kapakolo hele io e. Hoi mai anaka oi o nei e. Mana, thou land of the godling host, thou land of that wonder mirage, swarming with creatures that creep and crawl, but you're coming to take me hence. According to this version of the narrative, which is the preferable one, Hiiaka now took passage in the canoe, and from Mana, the reunited party sailed away for Oahu. By this happy reunion, the otherwise dissevered narrative is brought into harmony, and conflicting versions no longer pull away from each other like two ill-trained steers. The voyage was not without enlivening incident. When the canoe had reached a point where the surges began to roll in the direction of Oahu, Hiiaka saw two monster sharks disporting themselves in the waves, whom she recognized as relatives on the side of her paternal grandfather, their names being Kua and Kaholo, a cane. This was her second encounter with these sea monsters. The first was on her recent voyage to Kauai, an encounter which had threatened serious results, if not disaster, to Hiiaka's expedition. As the story goes, when Kua and Kahol had become aware that Hiiaka's going was for the purpose of bringing Lohau to the bed of Pele, they were moved to great disapproval of her enterprise. A mere man, said they. The idea of mating him with Pele is atrocious, and he is a dead man at that. After taking counsel with the sea goddess Moana Nui Kalehua, who had her boudoir in the deep waters of Iiwaina. With her aid, they raised a commotion in the sea, and Hiiaka barely escaped being swamped by a mighty waterspout. For her part, Hiiaka was quite ready to overlook this rough play of her old kinsfolk and to do the agreeable with them, and she accordingly addressed them kindly. How lucky for me is this meeting again with you out here in the ocean. It will enable me to relieve my hardships by a smack of real comfort. The two sea monsters felt unable to respond to Hiiaka's advances in a like spirit with hers. Their consciences pleaded guilty. Look here, said Kua to his fellow. This is our grandchild. Yes, his companion replied, and she will put us to death. We'd better hide ourselves, you and your patch of surf, I in mine. That sort of a ruse won't avail us in the least, objected Kua. What then? Where shall we flee for safety? To the mountains back of Waianae, to be sure, asserted Kua. The descent from the cliffs. This suggestion meeting with the approval of his companion, they hastened to land, and having divested themselves of their shark bodies and resumed human form, they made for the mountains and hid themselves in the pala fern. Hiiaka was greatly disappointed that these two old people should have so utterly misconceived her attitude of mind toward them as to rob her of their interest in company. She expressed her observations in song, a makani ka a ululalo o waianae, E wehe aku ana I ka lau o ka niu, haika na lokua lai ka po. Ai hiki aku e moe aku yuka kaluhi o ke kai. Mono huli ke alo I ka paia. Hiki ka alele a ko ipo. A koe na lau ka ula e... He ula aloha e... Makani pahele hala o ka mai lehuna. Ke wahi mai lai na hala lo mala mala maiki. I ke a wailua ke kino ka lau. Paupuno me ke kino ka le... Nei loko o ka moe. Mala mama oko ano lalo me hi a hilele lahe I. Translation. A cat's paw ruffles the Waianae Sea, lifting the fronds of the cocoa palm. The waves of Kua rise betime and haste to pose 'neath the cliff, to sleep secure with face to the wall. Then comes my herald of peace with its ear-tingling message of love, offering bounty and pardon as free as the wind that shakes the hollow tree. Drawn is the bolt and opened the door of the secret chamber under the sea, revealing the tricks of the merfolk twain, their bodies dead as the corpse of King Log, and with them that of the mermaid queen, for a ray has pierced to their resting place as a lightning flash illumines the deep. You're caught, my fellows, you're caught. Neither Kua nor Kahol or Cain were relieved of their guilty fears by Hiiaka's soft words. They continued their flight along the same path, which was soon afterwards followed by Hiiaka in her climb to Pohakea. The only penalty inflicted by Hiiaka, when at last she came up with them and found them penitent, cowering in the brush, was their retirement from the ocean. Not a light stroke, however, being almost the equivalent of taking away a mariner's commission, thus separating him from his chosen element, his native air. Chapter 30th. What Hiiaka saw from the height of Pohakea. To return now to Hiiaka, who, after a hot climb, is standing on the summit of Pohakea. She is gazing with rapt and clear vision far away in the direction of her own homeland, her Moku Lehua, in Puna. Her eyes, under the inspiration of the moment, disregard the ocean foreground, on whose gently heaving bosom might be seen the canoe that holds Lohau and Wahine Oma'o snailing along to its appointed rendezvous. Her mind is busy interpreting the unusual signs written in the heavens, a swelling mountainous mass of flame-shot clouds boiling up from some hidden source. It spells ruin and desolation, her own forest parks blasted and fire-smitten, but saddest and most heart-rending of all is the thought that her own Hopo, the beautiful, the accomplished, the generous, the darling of her heart, Hopo has been swallowed up in the rack. Hopo, whose accepted emblem and favorite poetical metamorphosis was a tall lehua tree in full blossom, is now a scarred rock teetotumed back and forth by the tides and waves of the ocean. This thought, however much she would put it aside, remained to fester in her heart. We omit at this point a considerable number of mele which are ascribed to Hiiaka and declared to have been sung by her while occupying this mountain perch at Pohakea. Application to them of the rule that requires conformity to a reasonable standard of relevancy to the main purpose of the narrative results in their exclusion. The song next given by some dubbed a Pule, because of its serious purpose, no doubt, seems to be entitled to admission to the narrative. Aluna au Apohakea. Kuau nanayapuna. Popuna ikawa wawa. Pohina puna ikawa noe noe. Helekea ikai o ka lahiku au lehua. O lehua yaina kamanu. Ilahui aya kapu. Ayala ke hukia la ikai o nanahuki. Hula lea wale ikai o nanahuki a translation. On the heights of Pohakea. I stand and look forth on Puna. Puna, pelted with bitter rain. Veiled with a downpour black as night. Gone, gone are my forest lehuas, whose bloom once gave the birds nectar, yet they were insured with a promise. Look how the fire fiends flit to and fro. A merry dance for them to the sea, down to the sea at Nanahuki. Hiiaka now pays attention to the doings of the people on the canoe in the offing. It is necessary to explain that on landing at Mokulea, she had ordered her two companions to continue their voyage and meet her on the other side of Cape Cana, whose pointed beak lay close at hand. Lohiau, nothing loath, a pretty woman was company enough for him, turned the prow of the canoe seaward and resumed his paddle. After passing the cape, the ocean calmed, making the work of steering much less arduous. Now it was that Lohiau, feeling the warm blood of young manhood swell the cockles of his heart and finding opportunity at hand, made ardent love to his attractive voyage companion. He pressed nose and lip against hers and used every argument to bring her to accept his point of view. Wahine Oma'o had a mind of her own, and though not at all averse to love and its doings, and though very much drawn to this lover in particular, she decidedly objected to compromising her relations with Hiiaka, but above all with the dread mistress of the volcano, with whom she must ere long make reckoning. Like Pele, Wahine Oma'o permitted the kisses of Lohiau for a time, but knowing that passion grows by what it feeds on, she presently cut short his rations and told him to behave himself, enforcing her denial with the unanswerable argument that she was well persuaded that they would be seen by Hiiaka. It was even so. It was worse. Hiiaka did not content herself with throwing temptation before Lohiau, as one might place raw meat before a hungry dog. By some witchery of psychologic power, she stirred him up to do and dare, yet at the same time she impelled Wahine Oma'o to accept, but only a certain degree, for she carefully set bounds to their conduct. And this, be it understood, is but the opening act of a campaign in which Hiiaka resolves to avenge herself on Pele. When at length Hiiaka centered her attention on the actions of the people in the canoe, it needed but a glance to tell her that the contagion planted in the soil of Lohiau's mind had worked to a charm. Her own description, though in figures that seem high-wrought and foreign to our imaginations, had better tell the tale. Aluna au o Pohakea, wehe ka ilio ikona kapa. Hane alualu ike kula o mikikala, ike kula o puha malo. Hakaka kipikipi o kai ulume kikanaka, wa kwikwi wale a haina na ihu, waka ika umeka waimaka. Ake kula o lualua le, I kule aloha no olua no I. Translation: I stand high on Pohakea. The dog of storm strips off his robe. A zephyr fans yon heated plain of Mikikala and Puhamalo, wild strife. Tween the man and the sea breeze, I see noses flattened, broken, fountains become of water and tears. This my garland of love to you too. Hiiaka's voice had the precious quality of carrying her words and making them audible to a great distance when she so willed. Her song, therefore, did not on this occasion waste itself in the wilderness of space. The caution it imposed had its effect. Lohiau and Wahine Oma'o calmed their passionate contentions and proceeded discreetly on their way. Having passed Kaleloa, their canoe swung into that inverted arc of Oahu's coastline, in the middle of which glistened, like two parted rows of white teeth, the coral bluffs that were the only guard at the mouth of Pearl Locks. Before descending from her vantage ground on Pohakea, Hiiaka indulged her fancy in a song that was of a different strain. Looking towards Hilo, she describes the rivers, swollen by heavy rains, rushing impetuously along in bounding torrents, while men and women leap into the wild current and are lifted on its billows as by the ocean waves. Makani kuamu ustos lehuako uka, Kehova wa aela, e waihanakahi e kewala wa mai lahilo, amoku ka Hawaii piha akula, na halilewa kekai. Translation: Kuamu pays toll to the forests, cloud columns that veer and sway, freighted with rain for Hilo, the Hilo of Hanakahi. The channels are full to the brim, a tide that will flood ocean's caverns, the home of the mermaid Lehua. After a moment's pause, she resumed, though in quite a different strain. Aya no ke kuala I uka. Ke huala ika papai naina. Apulelo maika ohia o kalua. Mai wa ke popu nyuika makani. A kahuna o ea eka awawa I. Translation: The God is at work in the hills. She has fired the plain oven hot. The forest fringe of the pit is aflame. fire tongues, fire globes that sway in the wind, the fierce, bitter breath of the goddess. As the canoe drew near to the appointed rendezvous at Puuloa, Hiiaka lifted her voice in a chanting song addressed to Lohiau and Wahine Oma'o. Kuaikani ke awalaua Puuloa. Mai ke kulau pe kawa ke noho oe. E noho kawa e kui e lei I kapua o ke kaunoa. I kapua o ke kulikuli, o ka bili, o kaihona o kaupei kanahili. Ua hili e wakahino ka hili o ka lapo mai kai. Au he mue wao ka po e mue la nei. E lohi au I po e wahine o mau. Ho, a mai, ka wa I a aku au. Translation. We meet at Ewa's leaf-shaped lagoon, friends. Let us sit, if you will, on this lea, and bedeck us with wreaths of kaunoa, of a kuli and willy. My soul went astray in this solitude. It lost the track for once, in spite of luck. As I came down the road to Kaupea, no nightmare dream was that which tricked my soul. This way, dear friends, turn the canoe this way. Paddle hither and let me embark. Hiiaka, again in command, the tiger in Lohiau's nature slunk away into its kennel, allowing his energies to spend themselves in useful work. Under his vigorous paddle, the little craft once more moved like a thing of life, and long before night found itself off the harbor of Ko, the name then applied to what we now call Honolulu. Hiiaka visits Pele Ula Ataku, the Hula Kilu. At the entrance to this landlocked harbor of Ku, a pretty sight met their eyes. A moving picture of men and women in the various attitudes of lying, kneeling, or standing on boards, riding the waves that chased each other toward the sandy beach. The scene made such an appeal to Hiiaka's imagination that she opened her heart in song. Ke iho la kamakani, hali pua o nuanu, e aya I kaina lehua, kina na lau hilo, ke kaia hoi ka aukai, e na lewai ka wai o hilo. Uhilo hoi a translation. Down rushes the wind and sweeps along the blossoms of Nuuanu. Afloat in the sea are the flowers, a scene that takes one to Hilo, whose tide lines them up as a lei. For bloom of lei were to drift, far at sea is a hollow mark. When, after this battery of compliment, they came close up to the Princess Peleula, who, as will be seen, was a power in the land, having exchanged still further compliments, Hiiaka invited her to come aboard. Peleula very naturally declined this kind offer, but with a fine show of hospitality in her turn begged that they would honor her by being her guests during their stay in the place, assuring them of hospitable entertainment and such pleasures as her court could offer. Under her piloting, accordingly, they made their way by paddle across the beautiful landlocked harbor of Kuan, entering the Nuuanu stream, in those days much broader, sweeter and deeper than now, turned into its eastern branch, and ere long found themselves at the landing from which a path led up to Peleula's residence. Imagine the fairy scene, if you will, a canoe load of smiling Nereids, piloted by a mermaid princess, swimming on ahead, with a merry convoy of mermaiden and mermen following in the wake. A word in regard to this little land, now lying close to the heart of Honolulu itself, which still bears the same name as its old-time mistress, Peleula. To the kamaina, the sturdy samang tree, whose vigorous bole parts the traffic of Vineyard Street just before its junction with the highway of Nuuanu, has long been a familiar object. This fine tree has a history of its own, and can claim the respectable age of not less than 40 years. The land about it has borne the classic name of Peleula for a period of centuries that hark back to the antiquity of Hawaiian tradition. The sightseer of today, who views the region from the macadamized roadway, some 10 feet above the level of the surrounding land, must not judge of its former attractiveness and fitness as a place of residence by its present insalubrity. Now shut in by embankments, overhung by dank and shadowy trees, its once pure stream either diverted for economic purposes or cluttered and defiled with the debris of civilization. A study of the region on the inner Mauka border of which lies Peleula, will easily convince the observer that within a short geologic period, the wash of silt and mud from higher levels has filled in and converted what must have been at one time a clear saltwater basin into the swampy flats that not long ago met the eye. Now, of course, this whole alluvial basin has been still further filled in and artificially overlaid with a more or less solid crust of earth and rock to meet the demands of Honolulu's ever-expanding growth. To return to our narrative, to this hamlet of Peleula, such as it was in the days of Arcadian sweetness, if not of light, Hiiaka and her select company now enter as the honored guests of a woman distinguished alike for her beauty, her spiritual subtlety and insight. She was a Makala, and for her devotion to pleasure. One of her chief diversions, naturally enough, was the hula, especially that form of the dance which was used in connection with that risque entertainment, the kilu. By evening, when the travelers had washed away the encrusting salt, warmed and dried their apparel at an outdoor fire, filled nature's vacuum at the generous table of their hostess. While they were sitting in the short gloaming of the tropics, enjoying the delicious content that waits on rest after toil, Peleula interrupted the silence. The people will have assembled in the hall by this time. Shall we move in that direction? Her glance was first at Hiiaka as the leader of the party. Her gaze rested on Lohiau. Let the resident guests be the first. When they are settled in their places, it will be time enough for us to come in, was the reply of Hiiaka. As you please, nodded Peleula. Wahine Omao rose to her feet as Peleula was departing. At this move, Hiiaka said, when you reach the hall, go and take a seat by your man friend. She meant Lohiau. Thereupon she gave vent to this enigmatical utterance. Popunya I ka uwahi ku I makalehua. Na wahine ki he pau he uka. E noho ana ka papa lohi umaukele. Ha'ao I ka papa e ha'aho I ka papa ke kahuline I. Translation: Puna's day is turned into night. Smoke blasts the buds of Lua. The nymphs infringe woodland pow. Sit the glare lava plates of Mau Kelly. Unstable, the lava plates rock. They tilt and upset. She turns to Lohiau and says, you had better be going to the hall. When you go in, take a seat by your friend. This advice is puzzling. The friend must have been Wahine Omao, and it was customary for men and women to sit apart. Then she resumed her song, My Puna o e my Puna, ke hala ke lao ke lima, e o ke oho, o ke niu eloha na ikai, e. Translation: I come from the land of Puna, a partner I in a triple love. Ah, look! His fingers are passion clutched. Like fronds of the palm, they shall wilt. As she sauntered on her way to the dance hall, she concluded her song. My punao, my punao. My uka'au o wahine kapu 12. My o olu ea, ai ke ahi alaka la. My punao e. Translation: Bethink you, I come from Puna, in the power of a triple love. Girt with the might of Wahine Kapu, beware the baleful fires of Laka. Remember, I come from Puna. The inner meaning and intent of this highly wrought figurative and allegorical language, which Hiiaka, according to her custom, utters at detached intervals in the form of song, does not lie on the surface, and is furthermore obscured by an untranslatable punning use of the word Puna. To explain the motive of this song, Hiiaka perceives that Peleula and Lohiau, who had once upon a time been lovers, are mutually drawn to each other by rekindling of the old flame. In the case of Peleula, the motive of ambition to match her own spiritual power as a Makaula, seer, with that of the young woman who comes to her as the plenipotential ambassador of Pele, is even stronger than the physical passion. In the kilu now to be performed, she sees her opportunity. She will use it for all it is worth, not only that she may taste once more the delights offered by this coxcomb, but that she may pluck from the hand of this audacious creature of Pele's endowment a wreath for her own wearing. As to Lohio, that plastic thing, his character, is as clay in the hands of the potter under Peleola's manipulation. He is all for pleasure. Honor, constancy, ordinary prudence are not in his purview. Hiiaka's immediate presence suffices to restrain and guide him in her absence. His passion, a rudderless bark, is the sport of every wind that blows.